Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And actually, we're going to talk about little men learning to mansplain.
Yeah, no, see, so Squid King was telling us this story, and we thought, okay, we'll go look into it. And it's a real thing that this woman wrote a letter to, like almost like a Dear Abby type letter.
To Slate, of all publications, Slate.
Talking about how their 4-year-old son is turning into a mansplainer because he asked a lot of questions at 4. And I'm just sitting here like, you haven't been around many 4-year-olds, have you?
I was literally thinking that. I was like, lady, you have no experience with children at all. At all.
Yeah, because I mean, as somebody who's been around kids for years, as teacher, has kids, they ask a lot of questions, and they do try to correct you. They do try to do this is not unusual for 4 at all.
Or 24 on Twitter.
Right. But they want to nip this in the bud so they don't end up being 24 on Twitter like that, But it's funny because they go on about, well, we'll read it, but they go on about their PhDs and stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe it's learned behavior from entitled, pompous people who like to talk over others because they have PhDs. But who knows? We'll have to look at it first.
I can't say that. You can. If I say it, I'm mansplaining.
That's right. I will say actually, because you can't. Anyway, so before we get into it,
please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 186,000 subs, almost 187, lurching slowly toward 200,000. But it seems like the algorithm's starting to tick up again. It looks like whatever punishment we had is ending, probably because we're not talking about Star Wars as much.
You'll say that, and then someone will go try to get the punishment started again.
Now, we don't often talk about stories like this, but we're going to talk about this one because it's just so freaking stupid.
It really is.
We had to, and Squid King recommended it. It is from a few months ago. But you know what? It's funny, and we've seen this trend. We saw this trend with gamers, parents of gamers, saying, "Oh my God, my little boys are turning into the alt-right because of Fortnite and PewDiePie."
So now my 4-year-old tries to correct, and often wrongly correct, which is a typical behavior. So that means that they're growing up to be a mansplainer. But it sounds like they're actually handling it right. I don't know why she had to write a letter over it. And then another outlet, Cafe Mom, picked it up.
Yeah, so Cafe Mom's even like, this is ridiculous. That was kind of the tone. Like, have you ever been around children?
Was it really? I don't remember. I didn't really read through it.
Kind of was, yeah. It was kind of like, one mom is worried that her 4-year-old son has already formed some not so great character traits he might be unable to grow out of. Most notably, she's afraid her son will grow up to be a mansplainer. A mansplainer, an anonymous mom. Yeah, I would stay anonymous too.
Mm-hmm. So here's the original. Okay, this. It's great. Okay, dear Karen Feeding, am I
Karen Feeding?
Karen.
That's her name. Her name is Karen Feeding.
And Feeding.
Okay.
That's funny. I like your way better. Am I raising a mansplainer? My son is almost 5, and he has always been very voluble and also willful.
How dare
like a lot of 4 and 5-year-olds.
How dare he have opinions?
Try having a couple of redhead kids. For the past few months, he has taken to interrupting us when we are talking and saying, actually. He does this to both me, his mother, and to his father, my spouse. It occurs when we are explaining things to him, and of course he is always really wrong because he is 4, and these are often topics that we have a PhD in. It also occurs nearly every time my spouse is telling him a story because he thinks the story should go a different way, like a 4-year-old would do. We are trying to work on the interruptions, but I've tried telling him to ask questions about his understanding instead of saying actually, but he still does it because he's 4 and he might not understand what questions about his understanding are. My spouse is not concerned. He notes that we explain things to each other a lot.
And thinks
our son is just picking up on that dynamic. Probably. But I think that we need to curb the way our kid is explaining things before he becomes permanently insufferable. Well, he's probably learning from example. For context, he has trouble with impulsivity, emotional control, and paying it like 4-year-olds. And 4-year-olds are impulsive and have emotional control, and paying attention to instructions both at home and at school. Have you been in a classroom full of kindergartners after recess and lunch with paint? I have, and they're older than this kid and they act that way. For context, he has trouble. Okay, I already said that part. Sorry. He has been evaluated and does not have autism, sensory issues, or developmental delays, but he might have ADHD. They saw the signs, but they don't want to diagnose him yet. He seems of usual intelligence and reads at a 1st to 2nd grade level. So we have to one up the other parents reading this right now. So, you know what? So did Squid King. He is our only child.
You don't say.
Is his behavior age typical? Will he grow out of it? Or should he work on it more? What do you suggest? Embarrassed by the mansplaining. No.
Adoption.
Squid King got... No, that's not nice. Squid King brought up a good point. He's mansplaining you and the dad.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be not mansplaining? That's typical 4-year-old behavior. I would honestly have thought maybe if it was that annoying, it could have been an issue, but you had him evaluated and there isn't one. 4-year-olds are willful. 4-year-olds are, impulsive and they lack emotional control. And maybe, just maybe, he's insufferable because he's learned it by example.
He's insufferable because he's raised by you, okay?
I don't know.
You are the problem.
I'm just like 4-year-olds, they do this. And the thing is, you want to explain to him, you need to work on, questions about understanding. Okay, well, I hope you're putting it in a way that's relatable to a 4-year-old. I mean, it sounds like with your PhDs, he probably just wants, honestly, what it probably is he probably hears them doing, I will bet you money, if you listen to the parents, when they're discussing stuff, they're probably like, actually, it's probably this woman too, actually. And, he wants to be part of the conversation. It could just be that he wants to be part of the conversation. That's how he thinks that you have to do it. This is probably learned behavior. So it could even be coming from the preschool or something. But, I'm betting it's his parents.
So she's the stepmom. Mm-hmm. She's the stepmom.
Right.
So
could even be from his real mom, like his birth mom. I don't know. I'm just like... I'm reading this as a mom and a teacher, and it was like, you haven't been around many 4-year-olds, have you?
No, she clearly has not. So before we get into their answer, I'm just thinking, because I take the heavy-handed approach. Remember that one kid in the toy store?
Oh my God.
Where he won a toy.
Before we had kids.
Before we had kids. This kid won a toy really bad. It was a KB toy store, so that tells you how long ago this was. He wanted this toy really bad, and mom's like, well, now... That's, how do we actually ask? We can't, you can't be whatever. And he's screaming.
Throwing himself on the floor, kicking, putting a meltdown in the middle of the store.
He was probably 3 or 4 years old. So grandma comes over, grabs the kid by the one belt loop on the back of his pants, picks him up like a piece of effing luggage and carries him out of the
boss.
Like a boss, and carries him out of the store. And I was like, God, if she had a taser, she probably would have used it on this kid. But that was grandma. That was the difference. Like, she said nothing. She just bent him over, picked him up by the belt.
He was on the ground. He was already on the ground.
Oh, he was on the ground. Yeah, she just picked him up
by his pants and just walked out. It's just like, that's how you handle a child having a temper tantrum. Anyway, this person writes, I don't like to fall back on my personal parenting experience here because if there's one thing I know for sure is that every kid's different. I agree. But that's a way of saying that I think you're full of shit and I'm not going to, but I understand that, every kid's different. I thought it might reassure you to know that my kid went through a mansplaining phase around the same age because they're 4. And you know what? It's not mansplaining if you're mansplaining to the men too. It's just it's an age thing. Was it because we made it clear to him how much it was annoying us, or did he just get over the throw of ad-libbing, long-winded, patently wrong explanations? We'll never know, which it sounds like he's trying to fit in. One thing that is certain is that you don't have to worry yet about raising a splainer. Maybe you can reframe some of these interactions as opportunities to give your son a receptive audience for his cockamamie theories. Maybe, I don't know. I would take that, as imagination. I'd be like, well, no, I'm going to show you why it's, why I'm right and this is, wrong. I'll show you in a nice age-appropriate way. And then be like, but if that's a really good story, I'd be like, we should write this down so we can, remember it later if you want to write stories about it or something, If you listen patiently, ask questions, and monologues can turn into interesting conversations. Yes. And we do that with Squid King and Pinky Boo all the time. And that doesn't happen, really thinking of what he's doing as practicing his storytelling. Exactly. rather than mansplaining might be a step in the right direction, with the caveat that you don't have to stop being annoyed or bite your tongue when you're interrupted by Professor Pre-K.
Professor Pre-K.
I'm just like, I didn't even read the whole explanation what she said, and the same things basically I'm saying. They're doing it in a nice way, because I can tell this Karen's going to get offended really easily, so I'm going to try to make sure I basically tell her she's full of shit without wording it like she's full of shit. It's like, it's nothing to worry about. It's like how 4-year-olds behave.
So if you go out to Cafe Mom, they point out that a lot of the commenters were not happy with her using the term mansplaining.
Yeah, because it's...
A lot of people seem to mock her. I can't imagine why.
Even the person responding from Slate seemed to be like, I'm going to be nice to you because I clearly think you're going to get offended by anything I say, but I don't think you're right because it's an age thing.
Freaking Slate is even like, oh my God, you are a whole nother level. No wonder the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Believe me, you have a world of waking up to do. Another person joked the child might suffer from a classic case of toxic preschoolinity.
Yes, that's pretty funny. If you've had preschoolers,
Slate.
Well, this is Cafe Mom. These are the comments that were on Slate, right?
Yeah. Honestly, the fact that this woman would think her child is mansplaining highlights how the word has lost meaning. When people first started to use the term, they claimed it was when we were being sexist and being condescending to women. Now people are using it on a 4-year-old that makes up his own stories with his mother and father.
Exactly. Father, too. This is not what mansplaining is. Mansplaining, when you're being mansplained, it's usually, like they said, it's usually some cocky, douchebaggy way of being, well, you stupid woman, here's how you do it. But you know what? I've seen women-splain how I women-splain you.
Yes, dear.
I do. He'll do something.
Actually,
He'll do
something.
I
have tried, actually. I will tell you the truth. I have tried, when I am being lectured, I have tried to get an actually in there. And actually, she shoots me the dirtiest look. She's like, you shut your damn man mouth.
It's probably
and just keep driving. Was that a raised eyebrow? What the hell was that?
I know the look. And the look is this. You're laughing. I do. I admit it. I have to stop doing that.
You give that look to the kids?
I actually
You give that look to the dog? And you give it to me. It's the same look.
All the time. It's like, I totally do. And he doesn't mansplain me that much because he knows if he does, he get the look as other things. So to be fair,
the look in other things. Asterisks.
The hose again. No, sorry.
Or else you get the hose again.
Keep
your opinions to yourself, or else you get the hose again.
I think I've seen more women. Now, I'm not saying that mansplaining doesn't happen. I completely believe it does. But I've seen just as many women that women-splain to men.
I think there are two ways to look at it. I mean, sometimes legitimately, a person who happens to be male happens to be more knowledgeable about something than the person who happens to be female. Likewise, the opposite can be true. You can have somebody who's female just happens to know more than male. Now, if you're correcting someone simply because of their gender, I do not believe that is correct. It's like,
no, but if you're at work and like the person that's work with you at work is sitting there like, I've been here for 5 years, you just showed up, you're doing it wrong, let me show you how. That's not mansplaining. And I've seen some people I know that are women be like, well, then they mansplain me at work because he told me how to do my job. I'm like, when you look into it more, it's because you were doing it wrong and you just started your job and he was trying to show you how they do it at the company so you don't get in trouble.
I am the only PhD at Target, and I just started last week, and this dumbass man, privileged white male who's been there for 15 years, he tried to tell me how to stock the shelves.
Right. And he just happened to be my manager.
He just happened to be my manager. I have a PhD. Literally. And unbelievable.
I know. I'm just like, this is just, I'm not trying to make fun of this woman, but I am because...
Yes, you are. Own it.
It's just...
She's dumb.
You clearly aren't around 4-year-olds and little children often. This is not unusual. This is completely normal. Little girls do it too. It's not just a boy thing.
Yeah, I've had kids... I've had little girls just constantly ask me questions to the point where I'm just like, I don't want to be rude, but...
Try being a teacher or driving a bus. I did both.
Yeah. And I feel, okay, so you want to talk about like gender inequality. I feel more comfortable telling a little boy to shut the hell up than I do telling a little girl to shut the hell up.
But you don't tell either one to shut the hell up.
I don't tell them to shut the hell up. I'm like, well, actually, you need to shut up.
You don't do that either.
Actually, you need to stop talking.
He has a lot
right
of
now.
experience. You're probably like, why does he have a lot of experience with kids? Because he does care. He used to do caricatures for years.
I did.
And he would do kids' parties and different events, and it was almost always little kids that you'd be drawing.
Oh God!
And
some
they
of these
were like,
kids.
and did you know that this and what kind of pencil are you using? And well, actually, that's not what happened on that cartoon. Well, actually, you should use this kind of pencil. Well, actually, have you ever tried using this? And it happens all the time.
It's kind of like Twitter. It's kind of like the comments section. We get a lot of people that try, and look, a lot of people, and it is a personality type, they're very proud of their knowledge.
Well, the PhD, I have to make sure they put the fact that all PhDs in the thing.
Stepmom, PhD. Yeah, Karen Feeling, stepmom, PhD.
I'm just like, this is normal behavior for kids. It's not unusual. The fact that I diagnosed a kid with ADHD is probably because they're 4.
Yeah.
And,
Kids are,
They're probably just telling her, oh, we might do it later, just to shut her up and give her a reason why she thinks. But like, why? I haven't even explained to them. But did you do it in a context they understand? You might have to make it a fun way to explain to them. You shouldn't say that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think it probably is if they're both PhDs and they're both up their own asses.
And she's probably telling him all the time. Well, actually,
Actually.
I don't think he's probably telling her that it's possible. But if he's married
men know better.
to her, he probably isn't. There's a reason why they joke about women always telling men what's what when they're women, when they're the wives.
Yes, dear.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's very funny, but
It's out of touch and funny.
That is the world we live in right now. And like I said, this is kind of the same mindset that we had that Karen in the New York Times writing an op-ed piece about how her 11-year-olds were turning into alt-right dude bros because of Fortnite.
Right. Well, they were probably on Fortnite playing with other people on Fortnite, and they say things and yell and do things on gaming. That's normal. Girls do it too.
Yeah. Now, if Junior's like, hey, bitch, get me a Hot Pocket and some Mountain Dew.
Get in the kitchen.
Actually,
pie.
Actually, bitch, go get me a Hot Pocket and some Mountain Dew. Make me some pie while you're there, Mom. Then, yeah, in that case, yeah, okay, slap the shit out of the kid. Well, I'm sorry, that's my parenting advice.
You don't ever slap the kids. That's the funny part. You're like saying that, but I'm like, you never do it anyway.
Yeah. Actually, maybe I should have.
Actually, change the password on the Wi-Fi. Don't tell them what it is.
That's the worst punishment.
Yeah, I know, for them it is.
Oh my God, I can't get on YouTube.
Actually, for the most part, they aren't that bad. They have their moments, but they usually aren't too terrible.
I mean, they're calling it mansplaining. I would call it twitsplaining, because we get people on Twitter and in the comments all the time, they're like this, and they're like 24.
A lot of them are women.
Yeah, they are. They're women. They're like, actually, you don't know what you're actually talking about.
I still love that one guy that was trying to mansplain me. This was actually mansplaining, because they were like going on about women and not like that women have to like the new Disney Star Wars because, this is strong female characters. And when I was like, well, I don't, and here's why. Well, you're an internalized misogynist. And I'm going to tell you why you're a misogynist, and then mansplain me why I'm a misogynist. And I'm like literally being a misogynist as they're mansplaining me why I'm a misogynist. It was hilarious. And then they called me swear words in Spanish.
So does that mean internal massages? Does that mean your balls are on the inside?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the case. My balls are on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, they're so big they pop out the top.
We're gonna wrap this up.
Yes.
All right. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and occasional internet stupidity like this. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Actually.